Hey there, Steve Bentley here, and I just want to welcome you to this little video. I'm going to take you through the 10-step process, that's 10 steps that I use to guide somebody through a coaching program. And in this case, I've applied it to the Pro Edge system, and you guys know all about that. If you've been in Pro Edge for a while, you've been experiencing my videos, and hopefully they've been useful for you and helped you get some results that you're looking for. What I want to do here is provide you with some free information on those 10 steps that I do. It's going to be about a half an hour video that I'm going to go through so that you can take that information and use it to coach yourself or help other people understand the basic concepts of pro edging, if you want to think about it that way, so that you're available in your head to get on track with everything and be able to help other people. Going forward, there's going to be some other options as well. So if you can't get into the next group, I want to be able to help you with that. So we're going to set up a free Facebook group where people can gather and get into that environment that we're creating for Pro Edge, because I know that next group might be a little smaller. And then there's also going to be some other coaching options as well that I'll talk about at the very end of the video. People have already hired me through their previous rounds to help them more specifically with their success in Pro Edge. And happy to help with that. I've been doing that for 28 years as a performance coach, usually working with athletes, but usually I've done some life coaching and help people with that mindset stuff, obviously, as well, through the whole process of coaching for so long. So that's why it's so simple for me to help people through the Pro Edge program get the results that they're looking for. But let's jump into it, because I want to provide you with some really good, juicy information that's going to help you understand what we're actually doing when you're doing the Pro Edge system. So I'm going to share my screen here and just pull up my coaching site, and I'll just click the share button. So here we go. So this is on my webpage, bentleycoaching.com. So you can see it up at the top here. And if you want to get to this particular page, it's Pro Edge Coaching there. And you can find that down at the very bottom, Pro Edge Coaching here. So here's some results that we've gotten from people doing Pro Edge. And this isoketogenics here, that's actually a specific page for helping people understand the whole endurance athlete aspect of isogenics. I've got so much background in that from coaching for 28 years. I've also been in isogenics for 12 years now this February. So tons of information on how to apply isogenics from an athletic point of view and really be successful with that. So anyways, we're going to be talking a little bit about that going through the program here today. But here's the setup that I do. Here's the information. Here's Julie Felsher. I work with Julie. She's an awesome lady, got great results, breaking through some awesome plateaus from jumping into the Pro Edge program. So I just love that photo there. It's a great place for it. And then here's what I want to do. So very quickly, there's 10 steps you can see here. Just going through the program here is Jody Pearson, another great success story that I helped out through the program. And then down at the bottom, we're going to talk a little about some coaching options later, but let's jump into this here. So first of all, if you're in Pro Edge already, you know how successful this is and how great it is for breaking that sugar habit. It's a great sugar detox, but because we're doing isogenics with it as well, we're also detoxing our body of impurities. And I think that's so important, because there's 4 things that we do really well in Pro Edge that other keto programs just don't touch. And here's what they are. Number 1, we get people focused on a really high quality macronutrient profile, right? It's so important, and you've noticed that from the coaching that we give you. It's really important to focus on the macronutrients that you are bringing into your body. Don't just think low carb, high fat, and you can eat whatever it is you want. That's not going to work. So what you want to be thinking about is the quality of the protein that you're bringing in. So the Isopro, for example, amazing protein source, which is just going to be so bioavailable for your body, so much better than any other food out there. Now, we want you to eat other food, right, other proteins, and that's why when I get to the meal section, I'm going to go through some ideas on grams of protein. And again, I'm just touching base on this really quickly because I don't want to spend a ton of time on it, but I want you to have some of the information that's going to be useful for you going forward. We also have some, the isolene shake we're going to be able to incorporate into it, or if you're dairy-free, you're going to do half a pack of the dairy-free options twice a day. And then we also want people focusing on quality fats too, so good healthy fats, not just like tons of cream cheese and bacon and butter. Those are fine to take in moderation like everything else, but we want people focusing on good quality fats, like MCT oil, for example, right? Or healthy nuts, like macadamia nuts are so awesome on a Pro Edge program. And when you are focusing on your carbohydrates, getting good, nutritious, high fiber carbs in that are low net carbs. That's so important. And the net carb deal is you're going to take the total carbohydrates of something, subtract the fiber, and you're left with the net carbs. So that's an important distinction to keep in mind. It's not total carbs we're trying to get under. We're trying to get under the net carbs. That's so important. So why is ProEdge different? Well, we've got the quality macronutrients. We also have the nutritional support, right? Our Ageless Essentials with isogenesis, phenomenal product. Been using that ever since it came out. And then the third thing is the cleansing, right? We've got the cleansing of the impurities in our system. So this is a nutritional support, if you want to think about it that way. It's providing your liver enzymes with the trace minerals they need so that the liver enzymes can go to work and create the water-soluble toxin out of the fat-soluble toxins that's in your body so that your blood supply can pick those up, get filtered through your kidneys, and you're going to urinate those out of your system. Because urination is one of the 5 pathways for getting impurities out of your body. Okay. So, and then the fourth thing obviously is the coaching. It's so important to help people stay on track and understand what they're doing. And not only understand, but take that uncertainty away for them, because there's so many times you start something new and you're not really sure if you're doing the right thing, or you're not getting the results right away, or maybe you feel like you're getting negative results, right? The scale's going up, and there's so many different things that could be happening there. And it's from the experience of coaches like myself who have gone through this before with people for so long and been able to help them get the results that I know you're going to get if you stay on track and you don't let your brain distract you and pull you off course. So those are the 4 main things. Once again, quality macronutrients, quality micronutrients, and the nutritional support like our isogenesis, Ageless Essentials, and then the cleansing component, and then finally the coaching. Those are 4 big parts of what we do. So preparing for the program. So we're going to be just scrolling down here. I'm going to whip through this pretty quickly. But preparing people for the program is so important. If you just dive right into this from 0 to hero, you're going to be a mess. Take that first week before the program. So, next round starting January 14th as an example. January 7th, you want to start cranking down those carbs. Some people, they want to get a head start on it. They're going to go low carb right away. That's fine, great. But make sure by the time the 14th hits, you're already locked yourself down. If you're doing 200 or 300 grams of carbs a day and you're going to go hardcore from that to 20, 2 things are going to become an issue for you really quickly. One of them is physiologically, you're going to have a hard time adapting to that. And then number 2, just staying on track with the whole deal, right? That's why we have that Carb Manager app, which works really well. And we're going to talk a little bit about that. The Carb Manager, free app. I just use the free version because it's awesome. I'm fine at finding recipes online. I don't need an app to provide recipes for me, but if that's your deal, that's fine. Go ahead and do that. But one of the big things in terms of organization is getting used to tracking your carbohydrates in your meals, proteins and fats and fiber. And if you take that whole week beforehand, and when the day starts, you're already up to speed on it, and you're not going to have to learn. You're not going to have false starts because you're trying to learn an app that you should have learned the week before the program started. It's like, I look at it this way, it's kind of like a race, right? When the gun goes off, so January 14th, when that gun goes off, you want to be gunning for it. You don't want to be thinking, oh, how do I enter this information? And, oh, I ate that, but now I'm out of carbs for the day, right? It's important to make sure that you get all that dialed in beforehand, because it's such a simple app to use when you get used to it, but it takes a few days. So make those few days happen before the program starts. You can still eat your extra carbs, right? You can still have fun. You're not starting the program, but you're getting used to it, and that's so important. So the next thing a lot of people want to know about is exercising through the program. And probably the first video I did on the first round of ProEdge was talking about exercising. People think, how can I adapt the ProEdge system to my training? That is so not what you should be thinking. You should be thinking, how am I going to adapt my training to the ProEdge program? Because the ProEdge program is the focus. It should be what you're focusing on if you're going to go through this. It's only 4 weeks to get started, right? And if you're not thrilled with it, then don't do it afterwards. But chances are what you're going to do is one of 2 things. You're either going to say, wow, I love this lifestyle and I want to maintain this, and I've adapted to that program and my training's come back. Or you're going to say, hey, I love components of it. I've got a lot more awareness on how to become healthier with my eating. And my lifestyle going forward is going to be affected by that. And that's cool. But as you're starting this 4-week program, unless you've got some big event coming up that you have to work out or train really hard for, don't adjust the program to fit your training. Adjust your training to fit the program. It's so important to keep that in mind. And here's why. I cannot tell you how you're going to react going through this program. Some people are going to do this program and they've been so fat adapted, like my wife, Michelle. She can go for a 100-mile bike ride and not eat anything because she can get access to that body fat so easily because we've been working on that for years with her. So for somebody like her, she can go to 20 grams net carbs a day and it's not a big deal. It's not going to affect her at all. For other people, you're going to be lightheaded. You're going to feel weak. You're going to have to sit down if you do a weight set. Or you're going to go for a run. You might even pass out. Like, you may not have the fuel access in your body that you're used to, because if you're so locked onto glycogen, burning sugars and carbohydrates, and then you stop eating those things all of a sudden, you're trying to work out, there's this bridge that your body can't get over, right? I'm used to burning carbohydrates over here, and now I'm not eating enough carbs, so I have to go after fat access here. Unless you've got that bridge built, which is your ability to utilize those ketones that you're going to be generating from going low carb, high fat, then you're going to have a hard time of that. So why force yourself? It's like, I haven't run in a year and I'm going to go for a run and I'm going to make sure that I run a marathon. Why would you make yourself do that? Like, go easy on yourself, adapt to the process, let your body learn how to become better at accessing those ketones for fuel. And that might take a few days, it might take a day, it might take 2 weeks, I don't know. Let it happen. Your body knows way more about what it needs and what it wants and what it's going to do than your brain does. Let your body be the one that guides you through that process. So training through the program is basically just take it easy, step back initially. Later, I want you to work out because I want you to force your body to get better at adapting to fat as a fuel source. But initially, just let it happen. Stop being so A-type, right? You're no better just because you're so focused on making this happen. Let it happen for the first couple of weeks. This is like one of the few times you can let things happen because your body knows better than you do about it. And it knows what it's going to allow you to do. Okay, so that's the exercising. So let's just talk about calories and macro numbers because this is so important. I go into so much more detail on all this stuff when I'm coaching with somebody and going through the program with them. But very quickly, I want you to be able to understand for yourself, and I want you to be able to help other people. And this video here, this half hour that I'm going to be talking about this, it's kind of like a compendium or compression of all the videos that I've done when I've been talking to people through the ProEdge system. So I just want to get that information up there quickly to you. So I'm going to give some examples, right? And let's assume your goal weight is 150 pounds. Then for me, the easiest way for me to help somebody find out what their caloric requirement is to add a 0 to the end of their goal lean weight. So I don't care what your weight is right now. What's your goal weight? What's your realistic goal weight? And I caution using the word realistic because I don't want you to be too conservative. And, you know, maybe it's 150, but you're saying, well, I'm 240 right now, so maybe I should just choose 180. No, what's your goal weight? Realistic in that, okay, is it possible for you to get down to a particular weight? Don't say, my goal weight's 110 pounds because you feel like you want to be 110 pounds. If you're going to be healthy and you're going to look and feel great at a particular weight, kind of pick that, right? At least at the start. So let's say your goal weight's 150. Add a 0 to the end of that, that's 1,500. That's approximately going to be your basal metabolic rate, your BMR, what your body needs, even if you're not doing anything. Now it's a guesstimate. Michelle's weight, she's at her ideal weight, it's about 130 something pounds. Her BMR is actually 1,700 calories because she's muscular and she's very physically fit and active. So she's going to have a higher metabolic rate. But let's just assume you're going to add a 0 to the end of your goal weight. And that's your BMR. Now we need to adjust that for exercise. If you don't do a whole lot of exercise, add on a little bit, add on 10%. So that would be another 150 calories onto the 1,500, so that would be 1,650. We're going to base our macros off these numbers. If you're lightly active, right, maybe you work out a few times a week, you're going to add on 20 to 30%. If you're moderately active, you work out 4, 5, 6 days a week, for like an hour, 45 minutes to an hour, and some of it's intense, some of it's aerobic, go 40 to 50%. If you're really athletic, you're working out almost every day, and you're pretty intense with it, either heavy weights or good intense training activities or longer endurance events, you can multiply that by 75% or even 100%. Right? But let's assume you're at about 30, 40%. We're going to add on another 500 calories onto that 1,500. We're going to get you up to about 2,000 calories. And I'm saying 2,000 because it makes it easy for me to calculate the numbers for you. So following along, replay this if you're getting lost, drop behind. So if your goal caloric intake is 2,000, we want to, for the first 2 weeks of the program, you're going to be at 5, 25, and 70. So 5% carbs, 25% protein, 70% fat. You're going to take the percentages off that 2,000. So 70% of 2,000 is 1,400. So you're going to multiply 2,000 by 0.7, right? That's the 70%. And you're going to come up with 1,400 calories. And there's 9 calories per gram for fat, right? 9 calories per gram. So we're going to divide 1,400 by 9. You're going to get to 165. That's 165 grams of fat that you need to eat every day at a 2,000 calorie a day diet. For the protein, you're going to be 25% of that. So you're going to take 2,000 multiplied by 25%, so 0.25. You're going to come up with 500, divide that by 4, right? Because there's 4 calories per gram for protein. And you're going to come up with 125. So your goal protein intake is 125 grams. And for the first 2 weeks of Ultra on Pro Edge, you're going to go to 20 grams of net carbs. It's about 5%. I'm going to show you in the next thing here, setting up the carb manager, how you do that. But right now, your goal for protein and fat is 125 grams of protein, 165 grams of fat. Now that's important to know, because if you want to be able to eat 40 to 60 grams of protein outside of your shakes, you need to know how much your protein requirements are to dictate how much of this stuff you're going to have every day. So what we were finding for people who were having 2 scoops of Isopro and they were having a really low calorie or not very much protein, like 70, 80 something grams, is they were using up all their protein requirements with the Isopro and they weren't able to eat any other food. That's fine in terms of health, right? But it's not fine when it comes to actually eating normal food, because a lot of foods that's going to have good fat in it, it's going to have some protein in it, and they couldn't do that. So they're not having an easy time getting the fat in unless they were going to eat like tablespoons of butter or oil. We don't want that. So if your protein requirements are under 100, just do 1 scoop of Isopro twice a day. If your protein requirements are 100 to 130, then you're going to do 1.5 scoops of Isopro twice a day. And if your protein requirement is over 130 grams per day, you're going to do 2 scoops of Isopro per day. And that's going to give you that opportunity to have other protein foods in your diet. Okay, now setting up the carb manager is really simple. So we're going to scroll up here. Setting up the carb manager. I'm going to go very quickly through this, but here's the carb manager app, right? I just use the free version, as I mentioned, because I can get access to meals online. We're going to talk about that coming up. And what we're going to do is we're going to go up to the very top left here, and we're going to hit that little menu button, and it's going to open up something. Let's see if I can actually do it without looking at it. No, it's not going to work. There we go. So you're going to go right down to the bottom, go getting started. And then you're going to come up with your pages here. Make sure you're set on net carbs, right? That's the very first one. Track your macros. Click continue. And again, I go through this in the Facebook groups that we've set up and also the coaching that I do with people. Put in your information. I don't like Carb Manager to adjust my calories for me, so I don't put any change or goal for actually changing my weight. And then what I do though is under set your goals, I'm just going to say no change, right? And then I'm going to put in my caloric requirements. So in an example, you're going to put in 2,000. But for me, I'm going to put in 2353 here. And then actually, so let me just change that to 2,000. I'm going to put 2,000, click done, right? That pops up. And then I'm going to go down here and I'm going to change the net carbs. Well, first of all, I'm going to go carbs, protein, ketogenic, 25, 70, ketogenic. And I'm going to change the net carbs to 20. Okay. And then I'm going to click done. And it's, as you can see, it's 4% carbs. I'm 20 grams of net carbs, and I'm at 126 grams of protein, and I'm at 157 grams of 71% fat. So that's pretty close. I'm looking back here. That's pretty close to the numbers that I told you about before in terms of the percentages or grams of fat and protein. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click apply. And what happens is it changes it, right? So it changes it and it changes it back. And I'm just going through what's going to happen to you. So you got to go back up to the top. It changes the calories. See, it changed them back to 2353. So I'm going to, because that's based on some information I put in elsewhere. So I'm going to go back to 2000, put it back to 2000 calories. My net carbs are still at 20, as you can see that, right? And it's readjusted my protein and fat, and I'm going to just click finish at the bottom. Oh, okay. Later. And what it's done is it's given me the 20 net grams of carbs, it's given me the right protein, it's given me the right fat in there, and now I'm good to go for my carb manager. So here's the cool thing about Carb Manager. You can actually copy over days. So you hit these little 3 buttons over on the right-hand side there. Hit those little 3 buttons, and you see that says copy to. You can go up there and click copy to and choose the date. So I can take the information that I had from, let's say I'm on today, and I want to copy that to tomorrow. Then I'm just going to click copy to, choose the date, click set. It's on there, and then choose the meal that I want, and it's going to copy exactly what I had in for the whole day or that particular group of meals into tomorrow. Because here's the cool thing with Carb Manager. 2 things. Number 1, it makes it really simple for you to put all the information in that you need. But number 2, it keeps you on track, right? Where you're going to come into problems is if you eat something first and then you put it into Carb Manager. Don't do that. I made that mistake a long time ago. I had a bunch of cashews because, like, they're cashews, they're nuts, they're really healthy. They're just like almost like macadamia nuts. How bad can they be? There are so many carbohydrates in cashews. And I put it into the system and I was like, whoa, okay, now I can't eat any more carbs for the day. And I still need to get a bunch of fat and protein in. Man, I am kind of screwed. So always, always, always put the information in first to Carb Manager. What I like to do, Michelle and I like to do, is the night before, we copy over everything that we did that day and then change it up to be interesting. So it's not exactly the same thing, although some people like doing the exact same thing every day and they just copy the whole day over. And then the other thing that we do is adjust it to make sure that we hit all our numbers. So in this example, I'm going to make sure I adjust it. So I'm at about 125 grams of protein, about 157 in this case, or to 165 grams of fat. I'm going to make sure you can be a little under and below for the fat and protein, but always be below for the carbs. And I'm just going to make the adjustments until I'm exactly where I want to be for the day. Then I wake up the next day and I look at the Carb Manager and the meals that are on there, and I just eat what I'm allowed to. And it's just, this is what I'm going to do. If I'm going to stay on track, I have to follow this program. And it is so worth it. It works so well if you work it well, right? Just keep that in mind. Okay, so that's setting up your Carb Manager. Here's hydration, meals, cleanse day specifics. Very quickly, I want to talk a little bit about this because it's so important. There's so many meal options on Google, in the internet. Just think of something that you love that's not keto. And type that into Google and then type the word keto in, and you're going to have a recipe for that that's keto friendly. And then you just look at the numbers based on the proteins and fats and carbs and figure, okay, can I eat that? Will that fit into my meal? The things that I have in my house, can I eat that? What do I need to go get in order to make that meal? And do the numbers match up with what I'm allowed to eat for the day to stay on track? Again, if you're a little over proteins and fats, that's okay. Just be a little under the next day. Right? But be close, but stay on track, figure it out and put it into the system. It's so important to do that. So how this whole system works is, remember we're doing the bulletproof coffee in the morning. So let's just quickly go through that. I hesitate to call it bulletproof because that's a brand name. It's really just key. The first Dave Asprey was hiking in the Himalayas and he was in the mountains and he was given tea. Actually, it wasn't coffee. It was tea initially, and it had yak butter in it. And that was his first exposure to that kind of drink. And so when he came back, well, Tea's not as popular as coffee here in North America, so that's not going to make as much money as making it into a coffee. So that's why it became a coffee drink. So if you would prefer to have your butter and tea, go ahead, not a big deal. But I like coffee in the morning. And I actually prefer a black to having this stuff in it, but this does actually work. So put a little bit of MCT on it. You don't need bulletproof, right? This is a mixture of C8 and C10. Does it have to be all C8? No, it doesn't. Do you have to spend $30 for a couple of, 10, 15 ounces for it to work? No, you don't. Will it work with just butter? Yes, it will. Right? Try and make things as organic and natural as possible. So our pasture-raised butter is great. Organic ghee is awesome. I get this from Thrive Market. It's 16 bucks for 32 ounces of this Sports Pure MCT oil. That works great. So put a tablespoon or so of each of those things in your coffee in the morning, but don't do it all of a sudden, right? Start with a teaspoon of each and work your way up. Otherwise, you're going to have what some people call disaster pants. You don't want that, right? Your body has to adapt to this stuff over time. So again, that's a good reason to doing this the week before. Just start getting used to it. Even if you don't like it, do it anyways, because you're going to adapt to it. And it's so beneficial for a number of reasons. Number one, it gives your body those free fatty acids so that it can use those for fuel and start to generate ketones better, and provides them through a greater window of time through the day. But number two, and this is so important, it fills you up. Because remember, we're going to stop eating the night before at 7 p.m. We're going to go for 16 hours, 11 a.m. the next day before we have our isopro shake. That's a long time. So the coffee, as much as giving you those fatty acids for ketosis, it's also keeping you full so that you're less likely to snack on things and throw you off your system, off your game plan. So we're going to have a shake at 11, and you can have that with coconut milk, unsweetened coconut milk if you want, or some people just prefer plain water in there. Some people add the MCT oil into their shake in the morning. That's totally fine. If you add coconut oil, then know that that's probably going to clump up, especially if you have ice in your thing. It's going to taste kind of waxy, so that's not too cool. A couple hours later, you're going to have a ketogenic type meal. So Google that, nice little lunch, maybe spinach leaves, some olives, some nuts, hard-boiled egg, cheese, right? A great salad dressing that tastes really good is that Bragg's apple cider vinegar with some olive oil. Delicious. It's crazy how good that tastes. Sprinkle that on. I like balsamic vinegar, but it's got a lot of sugar in it. So in the first 2 weeks especially, you're probably not going to have a balsamic vinegar dressing, even though you thought that was really good in the past. It's another thing you're going to understand is a lot of things that you thought were pretty healthy have a lot of carbs in them, and they sneak up and they add up. And when you start to go low carb like this, you realize how powerful and effective it is. You're going to be really cognizant of that and really cut the carbs down, I hope. And then a couple hours later, like 3 to 4 o'clock, you're going to have 3:34 or so, you're going to have another isopro shake. And we're going to spread the protein out. So even if you're on a really low protein, you're going to do 2 scoops total for the day. Don't have a 2-scoop shake first thing in the morning and then nothing later. It's better to have 1 scoop, sorry, not first thing in the morning, but 11 a.m. And then the other shake at about 4. And then sometime between 6, 6:30, I want you to have dinner. You just Google a nice ketogenic recipe, like I like ribeye steak and asparagus. It's my favorite meal. So when I'm going through keto and I have a nice ribeye steak with asparagus, sauteed butter, that's awesome. Love that, right? So Google something that works for you. There's also great recipes for desserts, right? I love creme brulee and chocolate lava cake. You can make those in the keto version as well. A little hard to fit them in the first 2 weeks when you've got 20 net grams of carbs, but you can do it. You just have to give up other things. And in terms of giving things up, Isagenix makes some great products that have carbs in them, like Ionic Supreme and E+ shots and Nox. You can have those, but you just have to fit them into your routine, right? And cut down your carbs somewhere else. But what happens, the lower you cut your carbs down, the harder it is to get your fiber in. And that's so important to make sure you get enough fiber in. Fiber Pro is going to give you 5 grams of fiber, but there's a gram of net carbs in that. So I'll supplement that with some psyllium husk powder. So this is Viva Naturals psyllium husk powder, right? It's organic. And there's 4 grams of fiber, and it's 4 grams of carbohydrates. So there's 0 net grams of carbs of that psyllium husk powder per teaspoon. So I'm going to add 3 teaspoons of that in, or 4 teaspoons of that per day. So on the Carb Manager app, it's also going to show you your fiber content. So look at that. And when you're doing 20 grams a day of net carbs, you're going to find your fibers probably between 8 and 15 grams a day. It's not high enough to get the fiber in your body that you need. And you need that for 2 reasons. One, just optimal health, but number 2, when you're getting ready for the cleansing days, you want that fiber in there, and I'll tell you why in a second. But to get that fiber in, it's important, and you want to get about 25 grams of fiber in as women, and you want to get 35 grams of fiber in per day as a guy, okay? And the reason it's important for cleansing days is when you do cleansing, what your body's doing is mobilizing those impurities, and they're going to get flushed out of your system, right? You're going to sweat some of them out, you're going to breathe some of them out, you're going to urinate a lot of them out, but you're also going to pass some through your intestines. And when those toxins go into your colon, if you don't have enough fiber in there, there's a really good chance they're going to get reabsorbed into your body. That's why we want you to drink a lot of water as well, because if you don't have enough urine flow in your system, or you're not generating enough pee, then what's going to happen is your body is going to reabsorb those impurities because they're just not getting pushed out of your system quickly enough. I remember I mentioned there's 5 ways of getting things out of your system. Respiring them, so you're breathing them out, you're sweating, right? And then you're peeing things out, you're pooing things out, and if women, you're menstruating as well. So those are the pathways of getting things out of your system. For exercise as well, I did a video on the bounce and shake exercise, which is great at activating your lymphatic system and moving things through your body. So you can Google that as well. And again, we go through all this detail on the Facebook groups and other coaching that I do for folks. But that's the cleansing. Specifically for the cleansing, I know the normal directions for this are 4 ounces 4 times a day. I think that's a lot of sugars or carbs coming into your body all at once, especially if we're in a fasted state and we want to stay there. So I like people to do 2 ounces every 2 hours through the day. So you're going to do that 8 times. It's still 16 ounces. It's just a lot easier to go through the day doing it every other hour. These are going to be the easiest cleanse days you've ever done. And you're going to do those sometime in weeks 3 and 4 because there's 40 grams of carbs coming in on 16 ounces of cleanse drink. We don't want to do that on a sub 20 gram per day on the first 2 weeks. We want to wait till weeks 3 and 4, which makes it easy because by the time you get there, you're really dialed into your low carb lifestyle. So those cleanse days are going to be so simple for you. And it's amazing how effective they are and how easy they are for people who had the hardest time cleansing before. On Pro Edge, they find it so easy. Hundreds and hundreds of examples of people commenting on how much easier it was. So just do that. If you're a powder Cleanse for Life person, do 1 scoop every other hour, right? And again, you're going to do that 8 times through the day. So it's the same exact amount of cleanse drink coming in. You're just doing it more often. Don't eat anything, right? You can have a black coffee in the morning, right? We got our Isogenics coffee. You're going to do that first thing in the morning. You could even have another cup later. Just keep it black. You could theoretically put the fats and oils in it because if it's not pulling you out of your 16-hour fast, it's not going to take you out of the fasted state here in this state. But I just like to keep things as simple as possible. So I just go black coffee in the morning. Sometime later in the afternoon, I'll do that. I'll do my 2 ounces of cleanse drink every other hour. No food, no chocolates, no snacks, no whey thins, nothing. Just keep your body in that fasted state. Stop it from thinking that you're going to eat something every couple of hours. And when you do that, it forces itself to go in and start accessing that fat more effectively as a fuel source. Because it's not like a little dog sitting at the table. If you keep giving it a scrap, it's not going anywhere. It's going to stay there waiting for the next little scrap that you're going to give it. If you just don't feed it, it's not going to hang out. It'll be bored. It'll go lay down and wait until you're done dinner. Right? That's what you want your body thinking about. Right? You don't want it waiting for the next little snack because it's going to hang out there instead of going into the fat burning zone. Okay. Staying on track, mindset, understanding the process. This is just stuff we go through in general when I'm talking to people. But again, the uncertainty that arises when you're going through this program, when things don't feel like they're working, right? It's really tough. And I think it's really more in terms of just understanding what's happening, right? And it's the whole process of coaching people through the program is being that voice of reason for them and certainty so that they can stay on track and keep following their goals, even though they may not think they're seeing the results. There's 5 things that are happening when you're looking at the scale, actually 6, that when you're jumping on the scale, it's giving you a number. I don't even care if you've got a fat scale that tells you what your body fat percentage is. That's just based off an equation and it's running a current through your body. It's not actually measuring the amount of fat that you've got in your body. It's guessing based on the height and the age that you punch into that scale. And it's putting that into an equation based on the resistance of the current going through your body. That's why you have to stand on it in bare feet. If your feet are damp, or dry, that's going to affect it. If your hydration level in your body is different from one reading to the next, that's going to affect it. Right? Most people are chronically dehydrated. They're not absorbing water because they don't drink enough, and they don't bring enough minerals into their system to absorb those water molecules. So things just don't work, right? When you're talking about those fat cells that are on your body, they're encased in, like, they're in fat cells, but there's also water in those fat cells. As you burn the fat up, you're losing fat. They fill up with water. There's a great video a lady named Nurse Cindy did on Google, YouTube. Go Google or YouTube, search that, Nurse Cindy, water balloons, fat. Awesome explanation that when your body burns fat, that fat cell retains its shape, fills up with water so that it can maintain that position and waiting for you to get fat again. But it doesn't know you're serious this time about losing that fat. But eventually, when it burns up all the fat in that fat cell, it lets the water go. And then you lose the weight, you lose the size really quickly. But you lost the fat already. You don't know that from even measuring yourself, certainly from stuff popping on the scale. So what is the scale actually telling you? It's telling you a bunch of different things. The number isn't really that accurate. It's telling you the fat that you've got in your body, up and down, that's going to change. It's changing, telling you about your protein levels, like your lean muscle mass, right? You know, the study, Skidmore, talks about people gaining 9% lean muscle mass over 6 months without any exercise. And hopefully you are exercising. So you're going to gain muscle. So if that scale is not moving down, assume that you are gaining muscle and you're losing fat and you're just staying the same, right? It's so important to understand that. There's also urine in your system. You're hopping on the scale. You might have pee in your bladder. You've got fecal matter in your colon, right? You've got glycogen levels in your muscles and your liver. Like, think about a gas tank in a car. When you fill that gas tank up, the car weighs more than it does at the end when the gas tank's empty, right? Same thing with your muscles. It's got glycogen in it. You go through a couple cleansing days and you're down a couple pounds. Have you lost the fat? Probably not, right? You probably set your body up to be a better fat burning machine, right? By going through the cleansing days, and you got rid of toxins. But when you start eating again and you start gaining back a couple pounds because you're putting more colon matter back into your body and you're replenishing those glycogen cells, and you hop on the scale and you're all pissed off because those couple of pounds came back and you think you're getting fat again, it's like, give your head a shake. That's not what's happening. Right? You've also got intracellular water, so that's the water in your cells, the hydration. We want that. Right? If somebody starts isogenics and they're dehydrated by 3%, and let's say they're 200 pounds, they should have 6% or 6 pounds more water in their body than they did. They start drinking, they're properly hydrated now, their body's functioning metabolically better, but they're 6 pounds heavier and they're pissed off because they think they're using this program and they're gaining weight. Come on, that's not how this is working, right? And we've got extracellular water that your scale is telling you about. That's the inflammation around your body. We don't want that, right? And that comes off quickly when you start doing a pro-edge or keto program. So it's important to understand what you're actually looking at. Another way of measuring your success is, hey, where am I in this whole process, right? We've got the pee strip, so I'm not trying to demonstrate how this works, but you urinate on the end of this little strip here, and we're almost done the video here, so hang in there. So you get a little tab on the end, you pee on that, and it changes color based on the amount of ketones that it's measuring in your pee. Now, think about that. It's measuring what you're excreting from your body, not actually what's in there circulating that you're able to use. So you may be really low on this thing because you're using a lot of ketones up in your body. That's a good thing. Remember, this is just telling you what you're excreting. You want to be over 0.5, right? That's the second one here. And ideally, you want to be 1.5 to 3 because that's actually going to get you into the optimal fat burning zone, right? Optimal fat burning is between 1.5 and 3. 5 isn't any better than 3, right? It's not terrible. It's just not any better than 1.5 to 3. But if you're over 0.5, you're in ketosis. A better way to measure your ketone production is with a blood ketone monitor, right? And this is a Keto Mojo. This actually measures glucose as well, hematocrit, and hemoglobin. So as a performance coach, I like to know this stuff. But you can just get the ketone strips. These are about $1 per strip. I'm in the US, so I can get this on Amazon for like $50 or $60, and it comes with 10 ketone strips. But I bought some more, 50 for $50. So anyways, you put the strip in the end, turn it on, prick your finger, right, with this little prick thing, get a blood draw up. You draw out the blood into the end of the test strip, And this just tells you what your ketone levels are. Again, really accurate. I like that because I can change around what I'm eating and see how it affects my ketone levels pretty quickly. If you're measuring at the same time every day, let's say you're measuring early morning and your levels are really low, try changing up about when you're measuring, because remember, you're measuring ketone levels that are being produced by your body from what you're eating and what you've got in there that you're burning. And if you're not eating things, right, your ketone levels might be higher later in the day, but you're measuring them at a really low point in time, and they might throw you off and you may not feel as good. So anyways, keep that in mind because that's important. Okay, so that's kind of measuring success. Lifestyle options, and again, I'm just whipping through all this stuff. Lifestyle options going forward, kind of touched on that when I'm talking about measuring ketones. I don't want people being under 20 grams of net carbs per day forever. I don't care how great you feel on that. It's not healthy. There's so many great foods out there that you need to get into your body that are going to have higher carbs and fruits, for example. Yeah, I know you can do fruit powders and greens powders with isogenics. I've got them in a big container all mixed up, so I don't have them here. But I use those every day. I want that nutrition in my body. Isogenics makes great products like Ionic Supreme and E-Shots and Nox, and some of the AMP products are phenomenal. We want to get those into your body. If you get so carb phobic, you're going to really kick out a lot of these great products that you need to be getting into your body. So keep that in mind, number one. Number two, the under 50 grams, like ongoing, is just an arbitrary number. Maybe for you, it's under 40 before you get kicked out of ketosis if you go over that. For other people, it's going to be much higher. And the more you exercise and the more you eat your carbohydrates in and around when you're exercising, the more carbs you can eat and still stay in ketosis. It's a really cool system. But how are you going to know that? You need to have a blood ketone monitor in order to do that. Do you need to have this in order to do ProEdge? No, you don't. But if you really want to dial in and get specific and know what your limits are, like what your window of being able to do things and get away with it and still be able to stay in that ketonic range, then get a blood ketone monitor, because it's going to allow you to know what you're doing. And you can do a certain amount of training and eat a certain number of carbohydrates and track that. Right? And actually, Jody right here, right? She was talking about how she's able to work out a certain amount, and she's up to 90 grams of carbs last time I checked in with her, still staying hardcore in ketosis and getting great results with the program. So you want to know that, because there's so many great things out there you should be able to eat if you knew you could get away with it. But anyways, so that's that. So hopefully that was useful information in terms of giving you everything that you need going forward, because you don't need the group, right? You don't need me to coach you through this program. It's really simple and straightforward, but it's just understanding the basics and how all this works. And I wanted to compile all the information on all the videos that I've done and put that into that little probably half-hour thing, I think. Going forward, here's some things that people have asked me for. So I'm just going to set up a group, a community access group for Facebook, because I know there's people who probably aren't going to get into the next round of ProEdge. I think they're either going to close down or archive the next group. But I want people to be able to keep it together and keep supporting each other. One of the recommendations that I've heard and had myself is that people who've been in the ProEdge group for a while, because they're so much more advanced in where they're at, it's actually deleterious for them to be in the same group as newbies who it's too much information to hear things like, Jody talking about 90 grams of carbs a day. She's getting away with it, staying in ketosis, because it confuses new people. So it's actually better for some people to have a different type of group to be in. But, everybody's got a different way of thinking about it and weeding through the information. But if you're looking for a way to stay in contact with me and the information that I've got, or the other people that are in the group, let me know. I can drop you into a Facebook group that I've started up totally free for that. And I'll go in there and give support and ideas on how to keep things going forward, because I just love helping people with this whole program. I've already been doing coaching with people through the program for the first 2 rounds and into the 3rd round as well. They hire me because they don't want to spend the time and energy to go in and look at the information and find the videos that I've done or other people have done. They just tell me what to do. And I've been doing that for 28 years as a performance coach. So it's easy for me to, get that mindset dialed in for helping people here. So there's a couple of options here. You can do a phone consult with me on the phone. I'll go deep dive in for half an hour, talking about what it is you need to know specifically to set things up like Carb Manager, your training, eating ideas, cleanse day ideas, how to mess things around with your schedule, how to get away with drinking alcohol, different things like that. I like wine, I like alcohol, I like things like that. So figuring out what works and what doesn't work. But other people, they want to go through the whole program, and it's a couple of hours, and I've got that dialed in. I've done that with people, and it's about $200, right? And we're going to go through those 10 steps and just make sure we get through every step to make sure you're understanding every aspect of it. And then going forward, touching base calls to make sure you're on track, and when things fall sideways, how do you get you back on track with that? Some people want to incorporate training and exercise. So we've got a training plan here. This is what I've been doing for an awfully long time. So if you're not interested in talking to me that much, but you want to know exactly what to do with your training, so we talk maybe every other week or every month, then a $100 program is perfect for you. You don't need to do anything more other than that. And then if you're interested in talking a lot more, getting more specific with your training, you can get even more of that. If you're getting ready for a particular event, that's kind of my expertise, is helping people prepare for that, then you're probably going to spend more and get more out of that. I've got a membership site here for people who are interested in getting more weekly Zoom call information and staying more in touch with how to do the program and how to help other people through the program. And I like to help people with marketing and sharing Isagenix. I've been doing that for a long time, probably enrolled between 500 and 600 people into Isagenix in the time that I've been in the company. So I love to help people share this with folks. We'll talk about that as well. And then I also, for a long time now, had people asking me about a train the trainer or master class on how to actually become a coach and help people do Pro Edge. So if you're interested in helping people in your team be better at this and getting really specific about those 10 things that we talked about, this is for you. And this would be also great for learning how to market Pro Edge with people, which is what I love to do, and help other people learn about it. So if you're not just interested in helping people that you've got in your team learn how to do this better, but also sharing this with folks and building your organization, I would love to chat with you about that as well. There's a lot to talk about. I can sit down and talk for 2 or 3 hours, but I know you may not be able to absorb that much information. So I've broken it up into 4 different sections. So about 45 minutes to an hour each, and probably going to cover in terms of the 4 setups. The first one is setup and preparation of the whole program. Second class would be kind of the first 2 weeks, getting people started, all the headaches that go along with that, and the things that pop up, exercising, measuring, planning, all that stuff. Week 3 and 4 are a little different because we introduced a cleansing, so that's going to be important distinction between the two. And then the 4th class would be all about, okay, now what, right? How to deal with issues going through it. What about lifestyle, how to go forward with the whole thing, and then actually more specifically how to market this to people so that you're attracting people into your organization and being able to coach them properly right from the beginning. So that's that masterclass. If you've got any information or questions rather on any of that, just email me, Stephen@bentleycoaching.com, and we'll be able to get you the information that you need to get started on any of these. Anyways, hopefully that was useful information. Loved having you chat here. And I'm going to stop the share here, go back to our call, and good luck. Hope you had a great 2018, and 2019 is a phenomenal success for you, and I look forward to working with you in the future. Have a great day. Bye.